This video is going to focus on the next external influence, which is legal. So some of the influences we've looked at so far have been economic, financial, geographic, social, institutional, and competitive or competition. Okay, now we're going to focus on legal. Clearly a really important part for businesses to consider, and predominantly to ensure that they are complying with the legal regulations that are paramount and are prevalent in their particular industry. Having said that, the importance is high, but it's also worth noting that often that compliance can be very time-consuming and can be very costly. And when we're thinking about this from the context of a small, medium enterprise, that can be something that raises real challenges for a business, given often the owners of the business don't have the time to be putting into those sorts of things, and they don't have the money to be putting into legal battles in court, for example, or even just putting in place steps to ensure that they don't open themselves up to legal challenges, making sure that their workers have the appropriate employment contracts, for example, so that they don't face potential legal action down the track. Make sure they have, if they do dismiss a worker, that they've gone through the relevant channels to ensure that that doesn't happen. So it's the legal process and also the legal influence is extremely important on all businesses. But one of the important elements to consider is the time-consuming nature of abiding by the laws, but also the cost that might be involved in abiding by those laws. It's important that businesses understand and accept their legal responsibilities, and in particular their legal responsibilities to their stakeholders. So if we're talking about an SME, their stakeholders are their customers, their suppliers. Or if we're talking about a large public company or even a private company, their major stakeholder are their shareholders. So making sure and they're duty bound to their stakeholders that they uphold the law, they accept their legal responsibilities, and that they comply with those laws. Your textbook refers to some of these, but some recent changes to legal legislation that are relevant in this time, 2018, are the abolition of the carbon tax. So from a legal perspective, those businesses that were affected, businesses such as BHP Billiton, Rio Tinto, for example, but obviously smaller business as well, that change to the law had a profound impact on many businesses, mainly larger businesses, but certainly some of those small ones. Additionally, you've got some equal employment opportunity and anti-discrimination laws and changes to those. Those laws are predominantly state-based, and from a legal perspective, if you're operating a business in New South Wales, you need to be aware of the New South Wales Anti-Discrimination Act of 1977, but that act is regularly updated with changes, and as an employer, you need to be abreast and aware of the relevant laws and what it means to be an equal employment opportunity employer, and to ensure that workers are not being discriminated against in the workplace. Workplace health and safety is also a very important one, and it doesn't matter what sort of business you're running. If you are a large factory or if you are a school, for example, you still must meet workplace health and safety rules and regulations, ensuring that all workers feel safe, and again, to ensure that you're not opening yourselves up to future legal issues, legal challenges, legal fights and disputes in court down the track, which ultimately can be time-consuming and costly. We've spoken a lot about the ACCC in terms of their roles and influence as a key institution. They also are a key influence from a legal perspective, because they enforce the Competition Consumer Act of 2010, and which strives to achieve fair competition between businesses and to protect consumers. And that is a key legal act of Parliament, which again all businesses would need to be aware of to some degree, depending upon probably the size of the business and also the nature of the business. This is something we're going to have a look at in class in some detail, is the Fair Work Commission, because they do play such an important role from a legal perspective, and particularly to consider things such as unfair dismissal, ensuring that workers are hired under appropriate contracts, are paid their appropriate wages, but something we'll spend some time on in class. So the next video is going to focus on political as an external influence.